going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs. I'm Dylan. They just got punched in the mouth. They didn't even know how to react.
That is one Derby Diamond.
I'm Mila. Do we want to do a little prediction? That was the last time they showed initiative to go get a fucking player.
City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero.
I'm Grant. They're talking a lot about you 15. How will you respond 15?
We downgraded from Peppa. Do you know how absurd that is?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs, episode 63. I just ran and put a pizza in the oven, and I'm back right before the intro started. That's called pro podcasting. What was that?
I said, Mudrick, you have competition.
You damn straight.
There's another fast white man in town.
Yeah, and I took all those steroids that he was taking.
Oh!
It's the truth, man. I only speak in the truth. Mila and Grant are here as always. Facundo, welcome back to the pod. I have some very special news for you after our promo, so I'll wait to tell you that. But first plug. We're all here for this one. Please follow and go watch all of our content. We just did our first ever live on this City and Arsenal game, which we'll get into here in a second. It was a lot of fun, and we'll probably be doing more of those in the future. So look out. But Facundo, I have some very good news for you, and it's very important stuff. Welcome to the Predicky Counter. You are in that bottom one because it's going to be all of our guests, but currently you're the only guest that has been on for any Predicky this season. You have 4 total Predickies, which is just predicting the score. And if you get the score right, you get 1 Predicky. There's been 1 Predicky this year. Mila guessed City versus Wolves 4-0 correctly. Other than that, you've been pretty much spot on with the scores, which is pretty impressive, or the result. You're 3 out of 4 so far. So if you were a betting man, you'd have a lot of money at minus 200. You somehow got you were the only person that predicted the Palace versus Chelsea draw, which I think was just out of pure hate. So respect.
Intellect.
Intellectual hate.
It is. Us as a group, everyone's had 7 matches. So we're clearly not rooting for our teams or anything because they've all had great starts this season.
I'm close.
The UCL predickies are much better, but we'll get into those at a later date. Anyways,
they're all wrong.
they are not. No, they're better. They're better. I promise.
Better, Grant, come on.
They're better. They're better. I think we all had a predickie. We all had 1 predickie in the UCL wins, which is pretty impressive.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
there we go.
This episode's all Premier League stuff. We'll start with City versus Arsenal in that stalemate that ended 1-1. And Mila will get us going in there a second. But we'll then go into Chelsea versus United, as I get to be happy for 1 episode and Grant gets to not be happy. And we'll finish it off with a little...
You do not dictate my feelings.
Your club does.
Damn it.
But anyways, we'll finish off the episode with a Arsenal preview of Newcastle because that's the best game of the weekend. And we have our Arsenal resident here. Anyways, Mila, you're up here. 5 things you learned.
5 things learned from Arsenal versus City. I think 3 or 4 out of these I've definitely said once or twice already, just this season in the podcast. But I'll start with the main one, I think, and is that Kusanov's recovery pace is absolutely necessary in this team. And I think I made it very vocal that I'm not sure if he should be the right back, game in, game out, but just in terms of him being on the pitch, that recovery pace is huge. We had to supplement that with a 5-back. How many times has Pep gone to a 5-back? I think that's pretty telling on his impact in the team. He's a young kid that's barely played in the Premier League, and he just has this one aspect that sticks out among his other aspects, I think, and that's the recovery pace. The second thing, I think just the mentality in general. I know we talked about it in the last 5 things learned, but it looks like these 11 are the main mentality guys, the guys that Pep trusts are devoted to him, to the badge, and just to their teammates to go get a win on a daily basis. I'm not saying that some of the guys on the bench aren't offering that. I just think the ones on the field at the start of the game are the examples, the leaders in that sense. So I think that was just another game where we saw that on display. Third, Donnarumma was legit. I don't know if that really needed much confirmation from anyone, but I've just seen a lot, and to only concede one this week, with this past 7 days of games, in what many people thought would not be a good run of fixtures for us, to go out of it with 2 wins and a draw, conceding one to Arsenal out of all of those games is fantastic, I think, and he does a big part of that. That has to do with his technical ability and just his ability to lead the team. Holy crap. Fourth, Savio looks lost. That was probably one of the most useless subs I've seen in a very long time from Pep. And whether that's because of the preseason transfer news that came out, or he's just feeling misplaced in the team. I thought he looked very out of place. Granted, he was playing at the striker in that like 5-4-1 or whatever, but we had Doku filling in right there. There was no need to take Doku off to put in Savio to do nothing. If you're already going to remove Holland from that, I think it's just silly to replace that position an extra time. And then lastly, I got to go look at the notes again. No, Doku. Guy's class. Definitely the best player on the pitch for us last game. Just inside space dribbling is definitely something new that we've seen. Maybe not new as in like we've never seen it before, but more so just the frequency that it's happening. I think it looks like it's going to be a big part of this game going forward. I think it'll be huge with an Ait-Nouri coming back. We saw little glimpses of this in the Club World Cup where Ait-Nouri would overlap him and Doku would go a little inverted. And he was our best player in the Club World Cup mainly because of that reason. But I do think, even on top of that, Ait-Nouri has the ability to go inside of it and let Doku play a little bit more of that touchline. So it just gives a little more versatility for Doku to do his work out there rather than just the one show pony type thing. And yeah, that's my 5 things learned for this last game.
Yeah, it was an interesting game, and because Facundo, you get to make your 5 things debut here. I'm gonna give you a little runway instead of just throwing you into the wolves here. I thought the game was boring for 60 minutes, but really good for 30 minutes and 15-minute segments. Anyways, Facundo, your 5 things. Let's hear them.
All right. First thing was we got the starting lineup wrong. And I think when you go goal down, that I don't know what the word I'm thinking of here, but you illustrated a lot more when you go goal down. And that lineup was just not very good. I wasn't necessarily shocked at Marino starting. The Trossard start, that really threw me for a loop. Did not expect that, to see that when I got up in the morning. You just needed some sort of pace there, and I felt like we made a mistake. I know Mila just talked about Kusanov and recovery pace. I think that's pretty easy if that's Trossard. I think if Martinelli's running, I think that's a different story. There was one time where Marino, who didn't play particularly, I don't think bad, but not great either. He was just kind of like, he played a ball down the middle, and it was Trossard, and he wasn't fast enough to get it. But that's kind of, if we're going to be a little bit direct like that, like we've got to get on the ends of those chances. Then kind of tying to the next point, which is number 2, is just play quicker and with an urgency to score. The first 10, 15 minutes, I thought we were on it. We didn't really create a chance, but that's kind of expected. You kind of have some leeway in the first 10 to 15 minutes to kind of feel out the game. Then after that, I thought we had a lot of meaningless possession until the last 5 minutes of the first half. And then there was some sort of urgency to kind of get into the game. I thought Noni was really bright. Again, probably our best player in the first half. But yeah, we just need to run in behind more. We need to take risk and play those balls in behind more, and not just have domination in terms of where you are on the pitch. I don't think we've dominated at all. I thought we had really good territory and didn't really do enough with that good territory. The third bullet point is Gyökeres needs a rest. Unfortunate that Kai got injured, but I think Kai would have been the obvious choice in these big 6 games. With Martinelli's form, I think we should give him a shot at the 9. If Gyökeres is going to be that person that runs in behind, I think Martinelli can do that just as well. Like that diagonal run in, beautiful run, beautiful timing. He had another one with like 3 minutes after we score with like 3 minutes left. That if Eze is just able to poke it onto him, maybe. But yeah, just need more rotation at that forward position. The big thing I'm noticing with Gyökeres is he cannot hold the ball up, and maybe he's just not fit, but I do not see the separation and pace. And if you're not going to get away from people and you're not going to be technically secure, I just think you're going to have a tough day in the Prem, which is why I'd like to see him just get involved a little bit more in different areas that he's not doing. Like, it doesn't always have to be a running behind. You can drop in. I think the issue is everybody else kind of always checks to the ball when they need to be making the runs in behind. So just some diversity there. The fourth bullet point is that Eze and Zubimendi are tempo setters, and more so Zubimendi. I thought Eze showed he was capable of playing that number 10 position and being the one that when they played the ball to him actually turned and goes forward, or like you pretend like you're going to receive, you let it come across you, and now you're running at their back line. Zubimendi, the same thing, not necessarily a ball progressor, but one thing I've noticed is like when he gets the ball, it's like, let's get the hell forward. Like we don't need to like move it around all the time and then find a progressive pass. Like let's get it forward and run at them. We're 5 games in. It doesn't look pretty, but you're seeing some signs. We just need to kind of click and attack, but most of the attack is new players. So those 2 I thought were really good. And then the last point, and it leads me to a question, is that Mikel did not expect City to play that way at all, which I think was the reason for the lineup. And then the biggest question I've walked, or it's kind of 2 that I've walked away from this game, is have bigger teams realized that they could play us like the bottom half teams can? And what does that say about their thoughts about our creativity? And I think that that's pretty telling. Now you're 5 games in, but I think Liverpool and City have both said, have the ball. And we have not done enough with it. And in the Liverpool game, I can kind of get it. You're away from home, and that game was there to be taken. And we didn't make the substitutions at halftime that we probably should have, or earlier. And I think he did that this game. But by that point, by 30 minutes, you could tell we need to make a change at halftime or we're not going to get back into this game. So I think at this point, and I don't think it's like, oh, this is so bad, Mikel needs to be removed from the club. But at some point, you've got to realize you have the best team in the world. Like, it's great to limit your opposition and base your game plan off of them. But I think at some point, you've got to impose your own. And this team is good enough to be able to do that. So he's learned from everything else. Hopefully this is just another part of that learning curve of like, hey, you have a really good squad now. Like we can afford to take a little bit. I don't want to say risk, but there's got to be an urgency to score or some sort of like ingenuity or like creativity that this team is just right now for some reason not doing it. And part of it is just we got hurt again and there's new players, but I also just think like the mentality that's probably the first time I've walked away feeling a little bit frustrated about how we played. But yeah, those are my 5 thoughts.
I was going to say, I think this is a perfect segue, and I'm actually going to cut you off because Grant hasn't spoken in 13 minutes of runtime here. So I want him to have some leeway into
got to
this
be a
question,
record.
and then we'll go into your thoughts, Mila. But I'm going to pose the question because I think it's what I gathered from our watch along, which was I think both managers to a certain extent got this wrong. At least this game. I thought both managers, they both had chances to win the game or lose the game, and both of them made the wrong decision, and that's why we ended with the draw. So, Grant, with that leeway, what do you think of that topic?
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah. I think Facundo's question kind of does it. Facundo's question addresses that, I feel like, and I think it was a really valid question in terms of have everyone just realized how to beat us is letting us have the ball. I think he might be onto something there. So in a sense of if you're saying Arteta is to blame in this situation, you would have to go through his managerial career to where he is today in terms of this is the style he built, right? And if you want to blame Pep, I think that's more you're blaming him on the day. So I think that's just Pep reacting to what he's seeing. I think Facundo got that right. So because we are very confused with what Pep was doing. 68th minute, he takes Foden off for Ake. He was like, what? Pep's doing what? And then Holland
I thought
came
Pep
off.
had a good game.
Holland coming off was crazy. Who?
I thought Pep had a good game. I thought Pep's game plan was correct.
I think
after
the
they
blame
scored,
in the sense
I think
negativity.
the only mistake was, and I don't think that's a coaching thing or what it was. They ended up playing the high line at the very last minute, and that got.
I think that's
not putting pressure on the ball.
That's on the players. I think Pep actually got the game plan right, and Mikel did not expect it, and then that was kind of in his head, and then he made the adjustments at halftime. I actually thought Pep had a really good approach and game plan. Players just kind of made a bad decision towards the end of the game, and it cost them.
I just interpreted blame as in how negative it was in that
I don't
sense.
think you
That's
can.
how
I
I was
don't think you can blame
the question.
I think that's
what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, I don't blame it.
I know. No, I know. But
Agree.
I think to Fac's point,
my
like for the reason that he said is why you can't blame Pep. Because when you take out the forwards, you may go back to that 5-back. Why are you playing a fucking high line with a 5-back? That's not what Pep instructed. I know for a fact that's not what he instructed. Why is Donnarumma fucking 30 yards up the pitch? That's not in his game. It's not what it was instructed. So they had a momentary lapse of judgment, and Eze did a really good job to pick up on it. But I think Pep, like Facundo was saying, Pep got this one perfectly right. The only thing in question really is bringing Savio on, but I think I know why. Obviously, get him integrated back into the team, but it is against a rival in Arsenal. So in that sense, like that's the only thing I can.
And realistically, we didn't really do anything. The first 15 minutes of that second half, we actually did stuff, and then the next 20 minutes, we couldn't break down the block because at 60, Pep was like, "All right, yeah, we're really not getting anything here, unless we pack up shop and make them earn it." I thought it was the correct game plan. I found myself at 75 minutes with like them time wasting and like taking their times when they were getting fouled and all that stuff, being like, "Damn, man, like." They actually came to play. They're executing. They're playing well. Like game plan is good. I was like, respect. They did. They've done what Pep has never done.
And it's like
they've done what Pep has never done. I've never seen a Pep team go into a 5-4-1. I've never seen that in my life. And they got it right because we could not break it down. Now I give Arteta a lot of credit. You subbed off Timber and you brought on Martinelli. Like you did what you were supposed to and then ended up getting you a result in the game. But Carragher said it. I was here with my friend Akash. Like we kind of wasted 45 minutes. Like we really did.
I just have question marks on the idea of you guys said that he had the game plan right. But this is also a Pep Guardiola team that's been drilled in a very specific manner that went to a 5-back in a game not at home. And, like, I understand that for every other team on planet Earth, that is the case. That's the truth.
We don't go to a 5-back. We have to adjust to what happens in the game. He was the best defender on the pitch that day.
Yeah, but he also took off Holland, who was your only focal point. in a game which was suited for Haaland, which is fine. I'm all for, if Haaland's your best player, make him your best player, which has been the case this year for City. But you took away the focal point and went to a 5-back, which is stuff that we get angry at, like with Greg Vanny in the Galaxy when they're up 3-2 in a match, and you're like, why the hell are you going to a 5-back?
But that's so different. I don't think we were
Is
getting
it, though?
anything.
I
The
Yes,
agree.
because
principle's
we
the
weren't
same.
getting anything going forward, and like you said, Haaland's the only focal point. He's
yeah.
not going to touch the ball enough to make an impact in the game, and you're conceding all this possession and chances. This is why you put the 5th person in the back, and you take out Haaland for it. Like that's.
I think
he
you
was
guys
very
hit it on the head. It
reactive.
worked.
Yeah.
It worked. It was a
It
lapse
worked until it
of
didn't.
judgment because
No,
that
but
wasn't the instruct. But I think the whole
But
point
like,
is
what? How is that?
that's not
fault?
the drill.
I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying, was it a
You're in
little?
I mean, look, we put our most experienced players, experienced defenders on the pitch outside of Mateus Nunes, who wasn't involved in this momentary lapse of judgment. Uh, I think the fingers are very easy to point in that situation. The experienced guys should not be playing a high line, knowing that they're fucking not young bucks anymore. They don't have the legs to do that anymore. Why are you playing a high line against a team that has legs over you, that physically is stronger than you, especially once the subs come in? Because we were talking about it early in the live. Like, we looked a lot physically better than the last couple years teams, which helped a lot in terms of set pieces and just the overall grid of the game. Like, that was there. We were leveled in that sense. When you take those guys off, I want a little more composure on the ball, keep the ball, and just lock up the defense. And they didn't. They did one of those things until they didn't. And that's it after that. Then we took out all the pace and power in the team, so you can't go forward. So I get locking up shop, and it's just unfortunate that we conceded. But at the end of the day, I think it's just respect to Arsenal. They clearly Pep thinks they're the better team right now, and we have to set up for that. I don't think it'll be the same going to the Etihad, but at the Emirates, away from home with necessary point pickup, I think this is what he just had to do.
That's fair.
Yep.
I'm gonna
the
pause
quote
this
that comes to
real quick,
mind
if
with
that's okay,
Hmm.
so I can go grab this pizza. So give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. As you were saying, Grant.
All right, here we go. Yeah, I think Mila's right, and kind of the quote I'm thinking of to kind of parallel the situation, Mourinho, where he's talked about like people who say they die with their ideas, they're idiots. Like I tend to agree with that, and I think Mila's point that he made at the end of it, he realizes they're just not the better team right now. Pep's won the league 75% of the time as a manager in his career. He's always had the best team, but he understands he's not there right now. So he's not going to go in there and say, yeah, let's high press them. He knows what he has right now is not capable of what he wants to do. So this is the best he can do with what he has. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. So blame in a sense of negative, sure, I get it. But I think it was executed correctly. It was done right. They didn't score when the shop was locked up. It was a lapse of judgment in which they unlocked the door, left it wide open, and for them. And a top player found a good pass, and Martinelli, brilliant finish. I mean, yeah, I don't think he got it wrong. I think it's just more a tell of the times. But in terms of the game itself, I thought it was boring for the most part, but we did see some quality in there, and I think Doku's eye-opening, for me at least. To their point, we just kind of saw him as a touchline guy with Mila's whole thing. Like, he's beat your guy 1v1 wide and then put in a bad cross or shot off target. That was kind of the criticism of him. Clearly not that one-dimensional, but I think it's really important to remember how young these guys are when they make these moves. I think he was like 20 years old when he signed with City, maybe 21. He's still like 24. He's still got more room to grow. So these guys aren't just finished products, got to refine it a little bit. There's a lot of room for these guys to grow. So I think that's important to remember with young players, but I do think he looked really good. Definitely my man. O'Reilly played well for City. Vardiol back, that's huge. In the back line. Arsenal dead performance. No. First half was dead. I think Facundo got that right as well.
Part of my anger is I had a 1-0 predicky on the fucking line, and Pep fucking
that's what it was. That's all.
Okay, I think to play devil's advocate to your point, like we go in there, we play how we did last season.
Yeah, you
It
can get
was.
thrown off the park.
5-1.
We lose
5-1.
3-0, whatever happens. Like Pep's, you're gonna say Pep looks like an idiot. So it's like he can't really win in these situations, I feel like. But to everything we just said, I do think he got it right. And 6 players just got it wrong for 5 seconds. Because Donnarumma was class all game, and he's just out of position in that. Normally he stays on his fucking in between the
Glued to it.
posts.
But you
Glued to
weren't.
it.
You were never that high up. You were literally like 5 yards outside the 18, exactly where you needed to be, where if a ball went in behind, the keeper can come out and claim it, and there's no problem. Then you pushed it 15 yards further up the pitch, and you gave us a space to run. Like
I
I
think
don't necessarily think that's the coach. I think the players were like, all right, they really haven't done anything. Like, let's just step up a little bit, and then you get caught out. And
I need to watch it back, but I'm pretty sure it's a Nico G turnover, which leaves us higher up the pitch than we would be in a defensive situation. So I guess you could call it transitional. But either way, Isaiah does so
We
good.
couldn't
Deep
clear the
spaces.
ball all game either. I think that's another reason why he did it, because defensively, there were no goals conceded, but just throughout the game, every clearance was suspect at best. Like
Terrible.
Donnarumma getting to a cross on a corner, it's not fully out, and then even guys literally just putting their foot through it, it's not going anywhere. It was genuinely like shocking to watch. And Arsenal couldn't take advantage, get a goal in that situation, but just throughout the game, it felt like City defensively were so capable of just conceding 3 like that. So I think that's another part to play, and why Pep said, yeah, we're just going to shut shop here. I can't take my chances of what I'm seeing in the back line. But
there's some shock value.
All Pep was right.
There's some shock value to this. Like,
Yeah.
I that is the first time in my life I've seen Pep Guardiola park the bus. And so, like, it's not alarming to me, because it's not, because there's evolution to every manager and everybody has to go through it. And where City's squad is at with injuries and stuff, I get it. Look, like if Marmoush is healthy, I probably am not saying the same stuff, because you have that outlet. It's just, this is a learning process for both teams. I feel like City just have never played that way. And so, like, I can't fully put the blame on all the players, because that's not something that they've done ever. Like, Ruben Diaz for the last 5 years has never done what was just asked of him.
Wasn't on the pitch.
Was he not?
Nope.
I thought he played the full 90.
Nope.
Oh.
No.
Pretty sure he went. Did he play the full 90?
Yes.
Yeah, he played the full 90. So it was Ruben Diaz, Guardiola. Like, we're talking about, no, but just like the general, like, everyone barring Donnarumma, which is why I think he got it potentially wrong, is because you've just got this clashing of minds, which not to say that Pep got it. I'm not blaming him for the loss. I just think that with this new evolution of City and them focusing on being more transitional and focusing on Haaland, it was just this mismatch of ideas to me. And that's why it was weird. And so I'm just still kind of stuck in the shock value of, like,
okay, yeah. No, I get that. I think, though, to go into that specifically, like, we were not sure how we were going to set up for this game going into it, because we did set up like this the game before.
Yeah.
But that was new. Less so parking the bus, but more so conceding possession and control of the game and playing a transitional game that suits Haaland's traits. We didn't know that it was going to happen against Arsenal. We speculated that it might, but at the end of the day, all 4 of us said we don't know what the fuck's going to happen. That ended up happening. That's 2 games in a row now against 2 of the biggest games we've played this season, regardless of what United are right now. That is a big game. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And then the Arsenal rivalry has been big the past couple of years. So to play that football in those 2 games back to back, I think is pretty telling. Not to mention he played the same lineup against Napoli. I think this is just the new City, and Pep's adjusting, and whether this is him trying to just try some stuff out to then hand the baton off to the company or Nagelsmann, whoever, then that's fine. That's fine with me. Or if he is just changing for his own sake and he's going to be here to continue this, I think that's great. We have Haaland 9 more years at least. So to play to his strengths, I think is probably the smartest thing you can do. We just lost a lot of our core from the way that we played before in terms of KDB, Gundogan, just some of these guys that have been here through all that time that we had that identity. So it's just part of the rebuild. I think we're doing that refresh, and this is kind of just one of the signs of it. We're going to play a little differently, and it's going to be weird at first, but I think this is how we're going to continue going forward.
Yeah, you mentioned something that makes me think of something that Facundo has said a bunch of times when it relates to the City and Arsenal games. But both of these managers have a ton of scar tissue in this particular matchup, and both of them had their scar tissues opened up in this particular match. Like Arteta went way too defensive, right, because of getting opened up.
They switched
That's what you
roles.
said.
Mhm.
Yeah,
This game
Very
was the inverse of what our
Freaky
game
Friday.
yeah.
And again, that's why I think Pep got it so right, is because Mikel couldn't do anything for 45 minutes, and he got what he wanted because he forced us
Fire
to
with
play
fire.
for 45 minutes. And but I can't, at the same time, like, I want to get mad. The Marino thing I can understand a little bit more. Trossard, I don't think should have started. It should have been Eze. But I can't blame Mikel. You can, but I guess I'm not hell-bent on that, because if you predicted City to play that way, like, fair play, man, buy a lottery ticket. That was not on anyone's bingo card.
Facts.
So, like, I thought Pep got it really right. Mikel couldn't do anything for 45 minutes, and by that point, it was probably too late.
Yeah. It was a game of who was going to – I mean, City didn't have to adjust. That was the game plan the whole time. It was how quickly would Arsenal adjust, and it was too late.
Yeah, I thought our
Ace up their
reaction
sleeve
after-
was we're going to do
after we
exactly what
scored.
you do. It was
Yeah,
Hmm.
you texted about that because I think that's a
Impressive.
big mentality
Well,
thing.
Whatever. I saw a video today of Zubimendi getting the ball out of the net. Just in my opinion, right? You score the game time goal and you're at home, and this team is literally conceded 70% of the ball. Do you grab the ball and put it on the center circle? I don't give a shit if it goes for a VAR review or whatever. Like, get on and go. Because after we scored, we did nothing. We should have been tighter on your press. Like, I don't care if you're giving up fouls for being tight. If you're showing the initiative that you want to go get a second, which is what a Liverpool does, and we shit on it all the time, it's not sustainable. Well, if you're going to continue to do that every fucking week, that instills something in you to have that be the standard. You need that. Like, I get it. They might have been exhausted, whatever. I don't necessarily, like, if the celebrations don't matter, for me,
it was pretty powerful knee slide.
reaction-
He was not tired.
the reaction after, not necessarily the celebrating, but the reaction after of not having the intent to get the second is what frustrated me. Because you knew, it's just like, get tighter to them. They're not going to play. So what are they going to do? They're going to hoof it. And at least you're not wasting 45 seconds of them being able to play through you. Like, there was one where Guardiola Ake with like 95 minutes, Doku's just standing on the left side of the pitch in his natural position, like, not moving. There's 3 Arsenal. Someone find him and don't let that be the outlet ball. And then you have the ball again and you can go and attack. I thought the reaction after the goal was a bit disappointing. Celebrate. I was yelling at my TV to grab the ball. Like, you know, maybe I'm insane or something.
No, I think that's the thing. No,
right.
it's not. You're not insane. I think this is just the thing with Arsenal Football Club, and I'm not trying to rage bait at all. It is very impressive, like, your mentality when it comes to this stuff, because it's so different from the mass of Arsenal fans, and honestly, the club. Your admins are posting stuff like this was the biggest game of all time. Like, you guys just won a trophy, tying us. We're not that good right now, and, like, I think you have the right mentality. You guys should be pushing for more. If we're giving you that respect and you equalize towards the end, go win the game. So I think everything you're saying is correct. It's just kind of needs to be instilled into everyone else, into the players, into the club, into the rest of your fans, and that's fucking hard to do. I don't know how.
Our fans suck.
Yeah.
I mean,
atmosphere. Dude, get behind the team. I don't care if we're losing or whatever. Do something to get the energy in there, because it's just dead after this.
I think that's what
you guys scored.
fans deserve a lot of credit for, because no matter how bad they've been in recent history, I just go back to just the Lyon game last year, for example. But the way that place was rocking, even when they were down 1 or they're down 2, but they're getting the goals, like it felt like they were there. Like those fans were behind them. Yeah, they got more people there, but those fans will back them no matter what. And because they've been terrible. And like I think to your point, like I've seen it with my club too. Like they're very quick to just kind of sit back and whatever.
I think it's
it's
a bit
another
different, right? Like they're not. No offense, they're not really competing for anything. So if you want to,
they were last year.
You can. I think for us, we just are so reactionary to everything. It's like City score, and I bet you half the people in the stadium go, oh, "Here we go again. There's the title." And I don't really think you should be like that. You've got 85 minutes left to play, and you're going dead silent, like bad. So that was another one of my 5 things. To make that the 6th. Our fans suck.
Yeah. No, I understand being upset at the result if I was an Arsenal fan. But to your point, like you guys are a really good team and you had all game to get back into it. The match going fans should have been better in that particular moment. You guys held the ball for 70% of the match. Even if you didn't like the way it was going, like you had all the control to potentially go and get the winner. You're at home. That's the whole point of having a home crowd. Is so that you can go and do those things.
The first 15 minutes of the second half were the best we played.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
It's
it.
it's just a tough one for me because regardless of whatever the outcome was, I wanted a winner because Liverpool are now 5 points clear of everyone else and they're not even clicking completely. And so that's disappointing. They also have the refs on their side. I can go off a list of just
We're not talking about that today.
But
especially with me needing to go. We'll talk about corruption.
That's fine. But just there was an opportunity for both teams here, and it feels like it kind of slipped out of both of their hands just a little bit. Not to say that the season is over or that they can't get back into form, but there felt like there was an opportunity for someone to take a foothold, and it's kind of gone by the wayside. Just a little bit. I don't know. Mila, do you have to dip out?
I do have to dip out.
That is fine. Thank you for your service and your 5 things.
Thanks, guys. Best of luck in the preview.
Cheers.
Right,
thank you. Text a prediction.
Wait, what do I need to? I just leave, right?
Yeah, you just leave. You're good.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get this guy a map. Sorry, Facundo, you were saying before Mila rudely had to leave.
We can end it on this and then transition to the next.
That works for me.
Yeah, I think it's. For City, I don't think it means that much. But I think for us, especially with Newcastle being next, we need it.
Yeah, you got to go get 3.
To show, not even just get 3, but show what you're about. I think that would have been more important.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of in a position where you've got to do that at Newcastle. And the lineup that probably started this game minus Trossard probably is the one that starts again next week, and we're going to continue the narrative. I understand it more against Newcastle and Liverpool, but an athletic club at midweek. But yeah, this for sure. Again, it's like the Liverpool game. It was there for us to take, and we did not.
Yeah, it's a 5-point swing, whichever way you want to look at it. Unfortunately, and
my favorite part was just to end it on like the Arteta complaining about time wasting and shit. It's like, that's your game. We're like, that's the game. And I think that's why Facundo, again, it's commendable. You tip the cap. It's like, oh, they're coming here to take care of business. You got to respect
what we
it.
did.
I think that's what it was. That's what it was. But it was hilarious. It was the same exact game last year at the Etihad, minus the red card, where it was just, oh, time to shut up shop. Good luck. And then right at the end, they score. Crazy.
We're really living in the upside down. That's honestly how I felt and that's the whole reason I had the manager to blame.
No, everything is
going
everything
to a 5 back
is
the world going upside down.
Everything is normal, Dylan. Because the next fixture we're going to talk about that confirms it. All is normal.
Right, all is normal. And Grant, you can start with your 5 things on normalcy because this is what happens every time.
Yeah, and by normalcy I mean us dropping points at Old Trafford. I mean,
yeah.
I came in here really confident last week, and I don't think that was out of line. I think given what we've seen with United, like I'm excited to watch them every week because they're entertaining as a neutral. It's like, oh, they're going to do something. Like that Burnley game was electric, even though they won. But We lost. And the first thing I learned is right after I gave him all the deserved praise, Robert Sanchez is still Robert Sanchez. I do think off of merit and recent performances, he did earn the right to be our goalkeeper. I think all goalkeepers make a lot of errors, and it's just highlighted because typically it'll cost you a goal. But this is why I was really excited when the Mayon links came out. I thought that was a top level keeper that would allow us to play the way we wanted to play. But I thought, you know what? After the performances over the summer, I think Sanchez will be all right. I still don't think we're competing for the title. I don't think we're going to win the Champions League. I've seen worse do it, so I'm not going to really get too upset about it. But it's just a friendly reminder. As soon as the transfer window's closed, he's still the same keeper. Hopefully he can bounce back from that. But that was bad. That was really bad judgment from him. Always kind of goes to what I've said in terms of him thinking. You can't give him time to think about his decision, or else something like that will happen. On to number 2. I don't think these defenders are good enough for where we're trying to be in terms of where we're competing. I think I've spoken about it before. I think the reason behind it is the pathways that we're looking at and the guys under our umbrella out on loan. But they're not here right now. Fofana's not 100%. I don't think he ever will be. Tosin and Trev are not enough at this level, week in, week out, every game. And they're good players, but kind of similar to what I said about Jackson, when you're asking him, hey, you're our only striker here, you need to produce, you need to get us back to the Champions League, he shouldn't be in that position. I don't think Chalobah and Tosin should be in the position they're in right now. I didn't even mention Badiashile because he's also always injured. No fault of his own, but he's also never available. So again, that's all that's there. Acheampong's the only other guy. I need to see him play in competitive games. He'll probably play in the Cup tomorrow, but I'm convinced he's our best defender off talent, regardless of his age. Bournemouth tried to sign him as soon as Huijsen left. Bournemouth's a different level, but I think he would have started week in, week out there, and I think he would have been really good. And I think if he never came from our academy and we saw a teenager playing like that at Bournemouth, we'd bid 60 million. So I think we need to give him a chance. We got to see what he's capable of. I think it's a lot. On to number 3, I think our sporting directors are still idiots. Dylan, I think you correctly called it out. I think you correctly called it out before when the window was still going on. But as soon as Colwill got hurt, you were like, Maresca's asking for a center back. And we said we're not going to sign one. I coped. Club World Cup champions are on the jersey. Oh, bro, they just meant a solution internally. We'll figure it out. We have enough guys there, pathways. Cope. He wanted a new back because Colwill is integral to how we play. I think it speaks to the inexperience of the manager, and I think that's in terms of abilities to adjust, right? I think he's a top-level manager, but because of the lack of experience, when he doesn't have a player capable of doing what Colwill could do, how do we adjust? I think that's a problem. And when Tosin's in there, he does the job on the ball. Does a fantastic job there, but it doesn't allow us to press the way we want to press. We can't mark man for man and have center backs jumping into midfield when it's Tosin as the 1v1 guy, because as we've seen, when he's exposed 1v1 just running into space, an attacker running at him, it's not a good spot for him. He's not going to do very well in those situations. So, you know what else he wanted? A new goalkeeper. So, the sporting directors let him down, but hey, they got their extension, so buckle up, boys. It's going to be a ride. Number 4, fitness issues remain on the forefront. I will continue to sound like a broken clock, whether it's the Club World Cup, whether it's other external factors. These guys are exhausted. Guys are dropping like flies. Palmer's the latest victim from what came out today. I don't know if you guys are up to speed. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. Essentially, I'm trying to pull it up right now, but something where it's not black and white. He's not going to, it's either a surgery or a maintenance thing, but it's a groin issue. It's a muscle thing. It's been lingering since the summer. Not good. We didn't sign Chavi Simons. We don't have cover for him. It's Buonanotte. It's Esteval. So now Neto's got to play every game out wide. He's got an injury history. He was healthy last year. So again, a lot of question marks. Guys are going to have to prove their worth. They're going to need to show that they're reliable. I really hope that that's the case. But again, starting to not trust our directors again. But contradictory to everything I just said, my last and fifth point is the season is not over. A lot of doomers in our fan base. I think I spoke about it on the day. I think I talked to you about it, Facundo. But United are always on top or at their best in the game at the beginning. I'd say like 15 minutes, like they start really well and then they kind of fall back into their old ways, their losing ways. But survive that opening sort of gut punch that they'll hit you with, and then you're good. That's the blueprint. Less than 5 minutes in, red card. Right? I mean, and then Palmer comes off hurt. Yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing to lose to that team just because I know how bad they are. Like, I'm not even trying to rile Dylan up or anything. Like, they have not been good. There's a reason that guy's hair is as long as it is. So to just shoot yourself straight in the foot like that, it's very frustrating. It leaves you feeling really upset at the end of it because you know you should go in there with 3 points and leave with 3 points. But all things considered, the season's not over. We need to relax. We need to stop dooming. I think there's going to be problems that need to be addressed, but I do have faith in this manager. And I think there's enough in the squad to survive. I still don't think it's going to start clicking in terms of competing for top trophies. And I think going back to Jamie Carragher talking, believe it or not, his whole point, he said it on the weekend, was like, in all this time to spend all that money, you can't rock up to Old Trafford with those center backs and that goalkeeper. He's right. He is right about that. Heartbreaking. The worst person you know made a great point. That's what that is. But he's spot on. It's going to be tough. We're going to have our ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it's not over. I think we'll be all right, but it's a difficult spot we're in right now, all things considered.
Yeah, I want to save the center back topic for a later date because I think that it goes more into the question that me and Mila have just about the squad makeup in a lot of senses. I think that the small preview is center backs tend to hit their prime much later. And so going with the idea of 25 or younger model on center backs is always going to be a risky plan. But I'll shelve that because
developing on loan.
Sure. Facundo, I don't know if you're there because I want to throw this at you because this was the biggest talking point after the game, regardless of Chelsea going down to 5 men right away or down to 10 men right away. But the question was, does Maresca get blamed for the substitutions that he made as early as he made them? I think the 3 subs that he made was a record. I think I think it was a record. I think for 3 subs he made in 20 minutes was the most ever before like the 25th minute or something. So he's coming under scrutiny. I think that's been the overall talking point from the media. I'm curious to hear, hindsight being a bitch, do you agree with that? Do you think that he deserves some blame for that?
I think your question that you asked in the last segment applies to the coaches in this game. Did both managers get it wrong? Because I think in this one, they both got it wrong. I said it as soon as it happened. I did not understand taking Neto out. Because that was the one kind of transition speed threat that they have. I'd also pose the question, if you know Palmer has a groin injury and you're going to be playing down 10 men and you got to do all this running, why not just take him off instead of Esteval?
That's the right question to ask.
So for me, I thought substitutions were bad and ultimately cost him because he went so defensive that they could have gotten a goal. Granted, you're not going to predict a second yellow and red sending off for Casemiro, but right, the game turns out that way, and then you can't really make any substitutions, and everybody you kind of have in the game is not defensive minded, but not really quick in transition.
You had 3 center backs, 2 fullbacks, 3 midfielders.
Yeah. I would say
1 forward.
Maresca got the substitutions wrong in hindsight, right? I still think the Neto one. And then if you know Palmer's hurt and's got this groin injury, right? Obviously, you're going to rely
That's
on
what
your best
makes
player
me
to
think
tell
he's
you.
wrong.
You're going to rely on your best player to tell you if right, because Palmer makes a difference in that game if he's still on the field.
Yeah.
But I think given the conditions, it's cold, it's wet, you're going to have to be running around. He's already not been playing the previous couple of games. I question that, and I'll end it there because I got some other questions for Ruben.
Yeah. Hindsight's such a bitch because you go down a man.
The injury is what throws me off, to Facundo's point. Neto subbed off in general is wrong. He can put in that shift, go up and down, whatever. That's your main threat. But taking him off and knowing Palmer's hurt, but you'll leave him out there and take the other guys off. Estevao too. Fuck my fantasy week. It's tough. I do question that. But Palmer coming off, that made sense to me in real time. Not even an injury. Like, just it looked bad defensively. We're defending in a 5-3-1 and Palmer's one of the three in the middle. Not going to work. So I got it in real time, but then like Facundo said, we handicapped ourselves. We handicapped ourselves bad with that red card and then the substitutions to follow. So the manager definitely got it wrong on the day. I, again, attribute that to his inexperience in these situations. His first job, well, Parma, he coached like 10 games. His first full job was Leicester for a year. It was the best team in the championship. And then Chelsea, we saw the growing pains, but again, he stuck to what he knows. So I think that lack of experience is really what hurts him there. I think over time, you'll be able to see improvement there. I think we also have a young manager who's growing. And I do trust him. But on the day, yeah, I got it wrong.
Yeah, the Neto one is so baffling to me. I actually I'm not that concerned about the Estevao one. Look, you go down to 10 men. He's
yeah.
Away at Old Trafford.
No.
That could go wrong.
It was
very
just
quickly.
It just sucked.
Yeah, Neto getting taken off and not bringing on Gittins or Garnacho is so nuts. Bringing on Tyreek George is. I don't know if that's more of just like a pointing
Put
it
him
back
up top.
Directors.
Why?
Yeah, but I don't care.
It kind of seems like that too, Dylan. It could be like
you spent
is he trying to say this is what you gave me? I think it could be because maybe he wanted
on those.
Maybe
guys.
he wanted a striker, and instead you get Guiu recalled. Maybe he's not a fan of Guiu. I haven't seen him suit up since we recalled him. Right? Like maybe he is saying "fuck the sporting directors," which I agree. But yeah,
I think that's crazy.
I would have liked to see someone with threat in behind on the pitch, no doubt.
He knew the role he was signing up for. They wanted someone to coach the team, not someone to tell them what to do in the transfer business.
Yeah.
I think he's earned the right to give them his input and saying, hey, I think we need someone here. He's not saying I need Sheshko. I need this guy. He's not giving a name. He's saying we need a center back. We need a goalkeeper. I think that's what he's saying. Hey, this isn't going to work. I think that's the message just trying to be communicated, but you also make a valid point. You knew exactly what he's signing up for. It's the reason we mutually parted ways with Puch, because he wanted to have input on transfers. Thank goodness that conversation ended quickly. But yeah, it's a tough spot. Guys are hopefully coming back to fitness. Lavia practiced. It's huge. Yeah, you just got to hope people can stay fit at this point. Like Caicedo, again, immediately having no cover, even though we got him another backup who immediately got major surgery. It's unfortunate, but I think Santos was a shining light. I thought he played really well, all things considered. You don't think so?
I don't know what he was to do in that game.
Right. It's hard to take away much from that game, but I think from what I saw from him, I like what I'm seeing. I think he has a future here with us.
He's a developmental piece.
Yeah, Facundo hates other South Americans. I forgot. Sorry, guys. Ugarte's a great. He was the best player in the middle on the day. I'm sorry.
Ugarte was actually really good in this one. Yeah, I thought he was good in this one.
Yeah, no. I was just taking a dig at my friend Facundo.
No, fair enough. But what happened during the match where I was like, you have to go defend your countrymen? I can't even remember.
Yeah,
probably kicked someone in the shin if I had to guess. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Let me do my 5 things here because I actually get to be happy. I haven't been able to do a lot of happy 5 things United style stuff. So I'll just jump into it. Number 1, Matthijs de Ligt. He's been our best player all season, probably barring Bruno. Just a warrior. I think this system.
Hold on, Dylan. I'm
Yes.
gonna mute your mic, Grant. Good Lord.
Oh,
Give him his time. Give
Am
him
I
his
breathing?
time.
There's a tiny echo.
was I
He
just?
does.
Oh,
It's
Go
okay.
King.
Facundo.
Go King.
Thank you. He's the only center back I think that actually fits the system to a T. He's a warrior. He loves a duel. He loves a battle. He likes stepping into the midfield. And those are important things. And you can tell that in terms of the fit of the structure of the system, if it's going to work, it's because of guys like De Ligt. I think Mazraoui is another player that fits anywhere you kind of put him. I'm not going to use him as a 5 things, but you can tell certain players are starting to actually work for Amram. And De Ligt being able to play in the middle or off the right, like that's important. So if he can continue to stay healthy and fit, United will be a better team. 2, set piece woes. Look, Chelsea had one shot on goal. They had one shot on goal the entire match, and it was off a set piece. Bayindir is doing nothing. Yoro's on the back post doing nothing. I have in the second half here, Chelsea's XG was 0.34. I think that was actually their entire games total. They had 0.2 in the second half off of set pieces. It tells you the quality of chances that are coming in. United are actually not a bad team at defending open space. This season, it's just whenever there's a set piece, just book it as a goal. I was watching the game with my buddy Issa, and I went in the 80th minute when that corner was happening. I said, I'm going to go grab my Ducks jersey because they're going to score real quick, and I'm going to be stressed out. And immediately I walked and grabbed
we
my
scored
jersey.
one
They
right
scored.
before it was offside.
Yeah, I mean, it was offsides by a mile, but yes, to the same extent,
Correct.
it's an easy win. It's an easy win. I have no idea with one game a week how that's not being drilled all the fucking time. That should be drilled every single day. If they're not doing anything but that's what it should be. It's embarrassing. I'm hoping
I'd like
that
to
gets
point
better.
out that he can't drill in somebody else in midfield because he keeps walking out with 2 in midfield every week, and it looks so bad. So,
Well, I mean, even with 1 in midfield for the 15 minutes before or after Casemiro got hooked, Chelsea didn't create anything.
no,
You know what I mean? So,
But the one offsides, there was like 3 short corners before that, and each and every one of those short corners, your team was not prepared and did not come out to the second man.
It's ridiculous. I have no idea how that's possible. I have no idea how that's not drilled. That's embarrassing. To be that bad on set pieces is something I can't even fathom, especially when it's like Maguire and De Ligt and Yoro. Like they're all good athletes. That just makes me angry. Anyways, 3, I have a magnificent Bruno. I mean, 100 goals for a midfielder in the Premier League is ridiculous for any standard. He's been our best player over the last 3 years. I love him as a player. I love him as a captain. I don't care what role he's playing in. He just produces. United have needed guys for the last 2 seasons to just do stuff. Bruno tends to be the guy. They needed to grab a goal when it went down to 10 men, and he was the guy. He made a striker's run, put it away. 100th goal, that's an amazing milestone. And I don't think he gets enough love as he probably should. I think he's just got the biggest target on his back. It's easy to pick on him. Point number 4. United's got to find a way of controlling matches. And what I mean by that, I have 4 things listed in this, but 1, that Casemiro red card is just unacceptable. You're up a man. They were completely dominating the match with 10 men, or up that man. And Casemiro makes he puts the decision in the ref's hands. That can't happen, especially of a player of that experience. That cannot happen. I don't care if it's a soft red. It's just not. It's not in the cards. It flipped the game. It created doubt, and ultimately, that's what led Chelsea back in the match. The second thing is like Ahmed is a great example. How many times does he get into good spaces and either isn't willing to take on the man or just makes the wrong decision? You make the right decision, the game becomes 3-0. You're in control. The game's over. 3, the end of the game in general, like I know we were sitting back, but the players' tendencies to just not put their foot on the ball drives me fucking bonkers. Just put your foot on the ball, take a little possession, ease off a little bit, and move up the pitch. They totally could have done that multiple times, but Cunha or Bruno or Ama decided they wanted to play a through ball in behind. We've just been conceding possession for the last 10 minutes. Just chill out. And then the final one is Bayindir. I'm so over it, man. This is the perfect opportunity to have Layman's come in and just take the starting spot. Whether you think he's the starting goalkeeper or not, I cannot watch another minute of Bayindir. In the last 3 matches, we've conceded 10 shots on target. We've conceded 6 goals. He's made 4 saves. Those stats aren't good enough for any keeper. If you just make 1 save, like just 1 big save, it can change a game. We've seen it with Chelsea with Sanchez, Raya with Arsenal, and Donnarumma with City. For me to be like, Jesus, just put someone out there that can at least make a big save and change the tides of a match. Because in the Fulham match, it could have happened. The Arsenal match, it could have happened. And you're looking at the season with a more positive spin. And then 5, and I'll lead it straight into kind of your question, Facundo. But I think that this match buys Amorim some time. I think it had to happen. He needed a win. And he's bought himself a little bit of breathing room. So let's jump in to that topic. Facundo, you said you had some questions, so let's hear it.
Yeah, I thought the 5-1-3 after the Casemiro second yellow was a bit questionable for even if it was just 15 minutes.
That was
but
crazy.
Even then, the shape off the ball in the last 30 minutes was extremely questionable. Like, I just did not really understand it. And then he still made a center back substitution when at the point of the match that he typically does. But yeah, maybe it's the players. I just think structurally, like, what are you doing when you go down a man? You're legitimately playing a 5-1-3, and you were letting Chelsea back in the match when they had no business being anywhere in it. And yeah, I don't know. I thought they kind of let Chelsea get confidence in the second half. Granted, it's more even 10v10, but yeah, I don't think he even did himself any favors, even though he did get a win. Maybe it buys him sometimes, but I don't think he's kind of really learned anything at all, and he's not really adapting. And I mean, you're not really going to be in a position if you fire him or not. It's kind of the same result at the end of the season, so maybe you just stick it out and you kind of see what he does. But the unwillingness or whatever, right? The inability to change is kind of shocking. Right, but fair play. He finally got a result.
Yeah, I do agree with that, just because I think our attacking threat was so neutralized due to our own substitutions. Like, we were playing a 5-3-1. We had 3 in the middle. We had wing backs, and we had João Pedro all by himself. He had all these great looking half turns throughout the game, but no one anywhere near him. And I think it was nice to see Reece James running up and down the flank, putting in crosses. That was our big threat the entire second half, because the way we set up. We didn't predict another red card to even the game out. So we were fully relying on Cucurella and Reece James to get forward and still be able to get back. So I think, to more Facundo's point, that also played a part in us not being able to threaten the way we would have liked to. I think we handicapped ourselves structurally. And I think, again, Facundo's point, when they came out in the second half with that 5-1-3 with Bruno as the one in the middle, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, we need to get on it now, before he realizes he forgot to do a sub. It's like a FIFA game. And then he went to the bathroom at halftime and forgot about a red card. I was shocked that he came out like that. So, yeah, I guess I tend to lean more towards Facundo's thoughts there.
I think Amorim is the only manager currently in the Premier League that can get shit for coaching a win and them getting a win. He managed a win, and they won. And I think that's at some point you have to.
We got a red card 5 minutes in.
Yeah, and guess what? He coached the game plan to go long to C.O.C, and it worked. United have been good in games, United have been good games in the beginning of matches. And part of the control aspect is if you can score early in matches, you change the match. Just because they got a red card and changed the match doesn't mean that he doesn't get credit for that. I think that's
gets credit for Robert Sanchez being Robert Sanchez. Are you saying like that he gets credit for that play?
I think
what manager gets credit for that?
The game plan was to go long, find C.O.C, and flick it in behind it and boom.
And hope Sanchez does that.
We talked about it in the preview. We talked about it in the preview that United needed to make Chelsea's defenders make decisions. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did. And look, if Casemiro
first time it happened best case scenario is what you're saying. It worked perfect.
Right.
Like,
But in every
yeah.
match, United has had chances to do that in the beginning of matches and hasn't taken it. That's not Amram's fault. He coaches at least portions of matches where I'm like, okay, I get it. And I see what's happening. Now, does it fall off the wayside? Has his subs been not great? Sure. And he gets flack for it. But look, we're level on points with City. And if hindsight wasn't a bitch, like I think in the first match week we talked about it with Amram. Like they play Arsenal, City, and Chelsea in the first 5 matches. How many points are United realistically picking up here?
They have way more than I thought they would, to your point.
They have way more than you thought they would. The Grimsby loss is unacceptable. And so I understand people being swayed by that.
What it was.
I'm only focusing on the Premier League. I've narrowed my focus in on just this is what they need to do. If they can pick up points in the Premier League and get themselves back into a spot where they can figure it out, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. And look, I'm not gonna get on Amram in this game. Ugarte comes on in the 46th minute. So it was just after that, which I thought was ludicrous not to put on Ugarte just in the aftermath. That should have been the first sub. Waiting that long was leaving the door open. But like I said, Chelsea had an XG of 0.4. And it came when it was 10 on 10. It wasn't when it was
because of our setup, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
but
think
you guys
Mo gets
just
credit
for
for
the
that.
last 30 minutes gave Pep credit for coaching a game in which they were in the lead and then they sat back. That's exactly what United did.
So
Against the
here's
10 on 10, Chelsea are a better side. You said that in our text thread. You're like,
Absolutely.
10 on 10, we should have chances here. United didn't really give them chances unless it was off a set
Because
piece.
we had 3 center backs, Reece James and Cucurella bombing up and down, Pedro by himself. In my opinion, that's what's
I
more
agree with
responsible than Amarim neutralizing our attack.
So Amarim's not allowed to tactically go look at the lineup after Maresca's made 3 subs in 20 minutes, all being defensive and going, well, he's played his card here. So I'm just going to sit back defensively. Let us pick up a win, an important because we're not a better team with them 10 on 10. And Casemiro has been one of our best midfield players.
I think the 10 out there and the 10 that we had out there.
Fair enough. But if part of the time that you're playing 10v10, you're playing 5-1-3, you're asking for trouble right? Like, I don't disagree with you. I think there were so many times where, especially with Ahmad or anyone, the decision in the final third for the ability to go up 3-0, 4-0, whatever it was, and just end the game, that's on the players, right? Maresca got it wrong. But in my opinion, Ruben got it so bad that they let a bad Chelsea team back into the match when they had no business being anywhere near it. Pep, I understand why you're going into a defensive shell. You're up 1-0 away from home. You're United up 2-0 at home with a defensive setup for Chelsea. In my opinion, if you're going to ask me, if this turns into a basketball game, who's going to score more goals? I'm going to tell you United. Because Chelsea didn't have any attacking options as an alternative. They did, and they didn't use them. They used Tyreek George, who Grant wanted over a left winger.
Well, we got both.
So, yeah, but I think that's where I'm like, granted, you got to win. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's 3 points against a good team, right? I just think, all things considered, once you're up 2-0, granted, the players should have done better to just put the game to bed anyways. So I don't disagree with that. And part of the coaching there is helping them create these many chances. I just think there's another side of the game. And granted, you're going to say it was a defensive lineup. Sure. You're not great defensively, especially when you're playing with one person in midfield or whatever the hell it is that you're doing in midfield in front of your back 5. You're not particularly good at that. So maybe don't do that and try and get a third. And then the game is actually over because Chelsea doesn't have a way to come back from that. But if you're going to let them start playing, that's a bad decision in my opinion. But I don't necessarily think Maresca's more at fault for this game than Ruben is. Ruben ended up getting the W, but I think if you play that game another 10 minutes, Maresca probably finds a way to equalize.
So essentially you're saying Ruben opened the door to let Maresca come back instead of the easy, simple decision in your eyes where it's just, why aren't you just shutting this down?
Yeah, let's just say, right, and it's a hypothetical, so it doesn't necessarily matter.
Sure.
But I think if Chelsea doesn't waste all their attacking substitutions, then I understand the game plan a little bit more. but Chelsea wasting all of their attacking substitutions, and now you're giving them a lifeline. I don't get the risk reward there, but it's 3 points. Doesn't really matter. You guys created a lot of chances. You were on top of them in the first 5 minutes, even before the red card.
3 minutes and 40 seconds.
I think Maresca had more of a howler than Ruben did. I thought Ruben did okay. It was just I didn't like some of the stuff in the second half, but if you get 3 points, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, I don't that's my thing is like, yeah, in theory, the idea of United going and getting a third is awesome. Like that's sure, but even when it was 10 on 10 and the subs that were made, Grant was still saying we are a better side than United. That was the statement that was said by a Chelsea fan this whole time. We were talking about how Chelsea are a better side. And
Grant
even
was
after
stop watching at halftime.
Yeah, but they
I did not.
I
was close.
He actually had zero. He had zero faith in his team.
Oh, dude, I was like 2 minutes away if that red card didn't happen, bro. TV off. Because it was it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
And
Our
so
setup,
like
the whole was awful.
And that's what I'm saying. Like we were on you guys from the jump. It was this is something United has done. And
I think it was more self-inflicted. If I had to, I'm biased.
So then why doesn't Amram get this self-inflicted stuff too? Because Casemiro gets a red card when he shouldn't have. We were up a man. I just feel like the critical nature on Amram is just critical because
I think it's because he finished in 15th and he lost the cup final to 17th and then he lost to Grimsby Town. I think that's why. I don't think it's this. I think he's earned that reputation. It's unfair, but I think he's earned it.
Yeah, he also got one signing before that and was given the worst United team in history. And now
agreed. It's not all his fault. I 100% agree. I think both are true. This is not his fault. I also don't think he's the guy for it.
He might not be, but
there's a lot of people to blame.
These are the matches.
There's other people just more blame.
Yeah, these are the matches where you have to pick up points, right? Like United needed a win, they got a win. He should get credit.
You're saying
for that.
He deserves the credit for fuck the logic, get the points, get out.
Yeah,
because we give credit all the time for that.
Absolutely.
I think the difference
got it
is
in the first match against a shit United side.
At the top end. I think that's the difference. Maybe Facundo has a different perspective. Maybe I'm just trying to rationalize it.
I agree. I don't disagree with Dylan, considering they literally not won half their matches since he's been there. So he's getting a win. So like if we're gonna bitch about
won a quarter of
them looking like shit and not winning, at least they look slightly better and did get a win.
You can't win in the media.
But I don't necessarily think that is. I don't view United any differently because of that game.
We will only start to view United differently if they can stack wins. That was the first time under Amram they've won back-to-back home matches, which is a crazy stat.
But they need to go dig up that cat that's buried under the turf, bro. Yeah. That's what needs to be done. I think I think it's starting to affect us now. It's been 12 years. We have not won at that ground.
I can't go and tell you that the next game against I think it's Brentford, that United are going to go and win that match, right? It's away from home. I can't tell you that. But if they do, and then they go and beat Sunderland, that's 4 wins in their last 5 matches, and you can start to build on something.
The guys,
we play Liverpool after that, so I'm not too, and it's away from home, so I'm not like too ecstatic for that guy. I don't think that's going to come here, but you have to start building progression somewhere. And I just feel like
something you got to get something small victories. I've always said that.
City, I've
always said small
point
victories.
Back of Chelsea.
You're not wrong. When you said that, I thought you were lying, but I know you're not lying. So yeah, that's shocking. I guess to me, the table's lying in that sense. I always say the table never lies. That doesn't feel right based on what I've watched. I'm also very biased. I love seeing your team do what we did a few years ago. So I think you have a point, but yeah, I think that criticism in terms of being able to get the points, I expect that from a team who's one step away, and they need to be able to do that. For United, I think they're so early along in the process that it's
you gotta grow.
The Facundo's point, I don't give a shit. Like it doesn't really.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's my team in the shitter, and I've gone through this awful recurring theme.
Oh, it's horrific, dude. Yeah,
and so it's like at some point you just got to be positive with the positives. And roll.
I always did tell you that, Dylan. You need to take small victories. So I think you know what you are right in that sense.
If they lose this match,
small victory.
If you lose this match, what?
Can you let me set him up?
I'm telling it doesn't. I think in the grand scheme of how much you've seen, I don't think this really changes anybody's opinion of what you have seen. Now it's a win. Bizarre game, like super bizarre game. So right, but I don't think you've seen tweaks and that has made you start to believe that things are going to change. It's a good win. If you keep winning, it doesn't necessarily matter how you play, but I do think how you play dictates where you finish in the league. But we're 5 weeks in, 6 match weeks in. I had United finishing in the top 6. So like this team is good enough to be able to do that. I don't think you have the correct manager for it unless he changes formations.
I think if they just start putting away chances, we flip the script on what the thought process is on Emirates, because they lead the league.
I also think you're really
XG,
easy to score against.
Because of which reasons? Individual errors and set pieces. So if you can fix, I think set pieces are fixable.
Structural issues are, I think, more telling. The fact that you have 2 in midfield and anybody can counter against you is when you don't have runners. You have Bruno as one of those pivots in midfield who's letting everybody run by him. Like, I don't disagree with you. You're bad on set pieces. That's part of coaching it out of you. You're also really bad in transition and structural shape. That's coaching. The lack of finishing chances, that's on the players. And as you start to create more chances, it'll go back into the middle and you'll start scoring more. But I think if you're United and you're getting into these basketball games, you can have the faith that you'll score more than the other team. But you're United. Why are you giving up countless chances that you don't need to be giving up? I think this team is good enough to, like you were wanting to see this team do more of, control the game. I think you're capable of doing that. I just think structural issues prevent you from taking more control of the game.
And that's fair. I totally understand everyone's opinion on the midfield. I'm not sold on it either, but I also think it's overblown. I that's where I'm at. I just think that, look, I know a bunch of teams in world football that play that style. Liverpool do it every single week in terms of playing basketball matches. They just do it to a better and more clinical attempt, right?
Because they can control periods of a game, which is what you're yearning for. I think it's because partly the quality, but I guess looks like Facundo had something to say, maybe structurally as well.
I don't think you have Van Dijk and Konate, and I don't think you have Alisson, and I don't think you have the runners that Liverpool has. So for me, I think that is the difference. Liverpool have also won winning basketball games. You have not won basketball games. You lose a lot of basketball games.
You gotta win them at some point, right? That would be my biggest
best keeper in the world.
You gotta win them at some point. But I mean, look, United dominated a midfield battle with Zubamendi and Rice and Marino. So you guys didn't do anything in that match. Chelsea's midfield really didn't do anything with 10 men in this match.
Because there was no one to play it forward to.
I mean, I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm not trying to rain on your parade because I don't disagree with you. You've played better against good teams. I think that's the worst Arsenal game I've ever watched us play in years. Chelsea gets a red card in 5 minutes. Like there's context to it, but I don't necessarily disagree with your point. Even I think 11v11, you probably create enough chances to say that you should have gotten more than what you got. Especially in our game, you got to win this game. But I also think City let you have the ball for a reason.
Sure, but City let you guys have the ball for a reason too. Like I think
because we suck going.
It's two different reasons.
So I don't know. I just feel like it's overblown. I think a lot of it's overblown because it is United and because of the precedent that has been set in his tenure. I just want to give him the time to see if it'll actually work. I just don't really. I didn't look at what he did last year and any match and think like United would have been better off with another manager regardless. Like they were pretty shit with Ten Hag. They were shit with him. I just want to look at
look what just happened to Ten Hag though. He's that bad too in theory.
No, they sacked him because he wanted to bring in all of his guys. That had nothing to do with the management thing. Yeah, but that's you don't sack a manager after 2 years unless it's a difference in terms of you want to bring in all your guys. It's a backstaff thing. Like, and I get it. And look, you guys have every right to be cynical against United. They haven't given you anything to be optimistic.
I'll stay that way,
Also your
Dylan. You
ri-
can
and
count
your
on it.
rivals. I am going to be positive, and I'm going to be
As you should.
maybe overly positive because there's
It
nothing
gives
else I
us
can
good
do.
discussion. It
There's
gives us
nothing else
good
I can
things to
do.
talk about.
That's true. We're running long, so I'm not going to do a preview. So we'll just do predicties for the Arsenal and Newcastle game to keep it. So here we go. I'll go first since you probably don't have anything off the top of your head. But it's at St. James's.
Yes.
Saka and Eze. I think that you guys are going to build off some of the momentum of having Saka and Eze back. Noni is out for a little bit because of the knee injury, right? So
I don't even know where that happened.
I don't know
I saw
either.
that
But
today,
it
and I
makes
don't know
sense
how
why he
legit
got
it is.
subbed
Is that
off.
legit, or is that not?
Ben Jacobs said it's serious enough for him to be sidelined, but not serious enough for a tear. So somewhere in the middle.
Sucks.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Arsenal. I think Eze is just such a game changer, and I think he plays in the 10. And having Saka back just makes you guys a whole other threat offensively. So between those two, I think you get 2 goals, and then St. James's, they're just kind of guaranteed one if they can kind of get their fans into it. So 2-1.
I'll go 0-0.
Sure.
That game's usually pretty horrific. It's also a bogey ground for Arsenal, at least from what Facundo tells me. But I believe, if my memory is correct, it's been tough the past few years. At least it's been difficult. They love wasting time. Very cynical. It's going to be a dogfight in reality. I don't think there's going to be much between the two at the end of it. So 1-0 if I was feeling nicey, but just go 0-0.
Got me feeling nicey.
I don't know, man. Do you learn from this game and do you start Eze, or do you do what you probably should do, which is start Marino, because it's going to be a physical battle? And then I don't necessarily think the manager cares about narratives. If Eze starts, he starts at left wing. But I think with the form that Martinelli's in, you got to give him a chance. Unfortunately, Gyökeres has got to start. I'd rather him not, but I also think it'll be 2-1 us, but it could look one way, or it could look a completely different way. You either look really good or you look not convincing at all. But at the end of the day, get 3 points here, like you should have gotten last week, and then you have a favorable stretch of games until November that you can get points. So just get points, and then they can figure the rest out. But yeah, Eze's got to start, in my opinion. You need something. If Marino starts, fair enough. I think you're probably going to get Odegaard back in this game. Eze out wide, Saka out wide, and then Martinelli is a late sub, probably just to take advantage of tired legs. Because I don't think Livramento versus Martinelli for 60 minutes is better than the last 30 minutes of the game. So I'd probably go 2-1 us if I had to guess, but who the hell actually knows? Because I've guessed wrong every week about how we're going to play against these teams.
That's fair, but a long one, a good one to finish off the week of perfect cock. All right, I've got nothing left to say. You guys good?
Yeah.
Let's move on from this week.
Episode 63. Mila parted with us early. I had to go get a pizza. I get to be somewhat happy, but also now I have a sour taste in my mouth. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Facundo, thank you as always for joining us for the Arsenal segments. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Alrighty. From myself, Mila, Grant, and Facundo, we have been Clash of Clubs. This has been episode 63, and we will see you guys in the next one.
2 words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing! That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.